Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome. Jesus. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Parish Construction and Roofing. If you need an orthopedic, go to Brock. You need a roofing, call Parish. Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Good morning, everybody. Hope your Sunday's off to a wonderful start on the road to New Orleans. Might be aware, maybe unaware, but Greg Bowser and I are co-hosting a series called Breaking Down the Bowls on Your View. So throughout this bowl season, we'll have 4 episodes. So we did our first one last week, which was kind of previewing the playoff. Now that the first round games are in the books, we'll go do a recap of the first round and preview the quarterfinals. And then we'll have 2 subsequent shows as well. I believe the last one is just before the national championship game. But anyway, very much looking forward to that. Sorry about this glare. You're seeing like half my face in the sun. But anyway, so good morning, y'all. Hope your Sunday's off to a great start. So I'm heading down to New Orleans to go do this show. Bowl games so far, the first round have been a total dud. Not really competitive. Clemson tried to make it a game against Texas, but none of these games really have been competitive. And you'll know my take on that. It's the seeding is stupid. Allowing Boise State and Arizona State are not the 3rd and 4th best teams in the country. They should not have byes. They should have played this weekend. If you had Boise State and Arizona State playing this weekend, you would have had more competitive games. For example, if you had Boise State against SMU and Clemson against Arizona State this weekend, you would have had far more competitive games. I know you still would have. What would you have done with Texas and well, I guess Texas would have been there, but and Notre Dame. But actually, I don't know how it would have worked with Texas, Penn State, but Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, whichever one, Ohio State, whatever. But you understand my point here. Like, you would have had more competitive games. It's what it is this year, but next year, that's one thing they have to fix is the seeding. There's just no way that Boise and Arizona State should have byes. I'm not saying it would have been incredible games, but you would have had more competitive games. So something they'll fix. Should have some really good matchups in the next round, which will be fun. So looking forward to Georgia, Notre Dame down at the Sugar Bowl, Penn State, Boise, Texas against Arizona State. It's a walk for Texas. But Oregon and Ohio State should be fun. Ohio State was awesome. I think in the first round, Ohio State looked like the best, the most complete team. So, if they play like that throughout the playoffs, they got a shot to win the national championship, but we just didn't see them play like that throughout the entirety of this season. So, be interesting. No Saints game today. Saints play the Packers on Monday Night Football, but you have a full slate of NFL action today, which will be fun. So, we'll kind of keep an eye on that throughout the day. Michael Penix making his first start for the Falcons. I guess will be interesting just for the future of the division and all that stuff. And then, of course, everybody's kind of keeping an eye on recruiting and the portal and all that stuff, so I'll catch y'all up. So I did get a call yesterday, the Patrick Payton. I think we might have talked about this yesterday on Morning Scone. Yeah, my apologies for those that missed Morning Scone yesterday. I was a bit late and we were YouTube only. But I got a call with Patrick Payton. Is done. He's committed, signed with LSU. That announcement's coming today. Brian Kelly met with reporters Saturday after practice, and he alluded to that. He said, there's something coming that's done. He said the way he said it's done on our end, meaning on LSU, but they were just until they announced it. So that'll break today. The Patrick Payton news. He's the edge rusher from Florida State. LSU got to see him twice. When LSU played Florida State, those games down in New Orleans. Long edge, 6'5", but lean, like 210, 215. But really good player off the edge. think replacement for Deshaun Womack. Maybe not an every down player. I know that's kind of the role that Jack Pyburn from Florida is coming in hoping to play. You got Jabari Butler coming in from Nebraska. So you got your real veteran edge players there, edge defenders. And then you add Patrick Payton, who, again, the guy's going into his 5th year of college. So, you've added Butler, who's going into his 6th year, Patrick Payton, who's going into his 5th year, Pyburn, who's going into his 4th year, and then you've got your young guys, right? You've got Gabe Relaford, who'll be entering his sophomore year. A guy like Kalaj Cobbins, who I've told y'all I'm very high on, but just has, some maturing to do physically in the game and all that sort of stuff, but I still think he's going to be a really good player for LSU. So, the Braylon Moore paperwork finally came in. That's official and done, the center from Virginia Tech. And then Patrick Payton will be announced today. And they're not done. The other interesting thing that Brian Kelly mentioned is kind of what I've been alluding to, which is if you go watch today's Locked on LSU or listen to it on podcast, I play the cuts for Brian Kelly. And so I was kind of able to translate them for you. He pointed out how, there might be something after teams are done. You still get the 5 days after the bowl, and they're still going to add more of the offensive line. And he said the back end of our defense. So that's what I've been telling you. Like, I believe LSU has silent commits on the offensive line and at safety. And it's teams that are playing in the playoffs, and we won't know them until after. I don't have names for you, but every time I ask, it's just like, hey, what about safety? It's coming. It's coming. You probably have to wait till after the bowls, wait till after the playoffs, sort of thing, which leads me to believe that they have silent commits from an offensive lineman and a safety. Brian Kelly also said they're going to get to 15, which is the number we've been telling you here. With Moore and Payton, that gets you to 13. You got another offensive lineman, another a safety that puts you at 15. So I do think LSU is going to add an elite tackle, and they're going to add a starting safety remaining in the portal. But it may not be until after playoffs, are done. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is it may not be the championship game at the end of the playoffs, because I don't know what player it is and on what team. I'm trying to find out for you. But, you had 4 teams that are playoff teams have their season end this weekend. So it could be someone on those teams. And then after New Year's, 4 more teams will have their season end. So it could be one of those teams. So I don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. My apologies, Joel. I'm driving here. I'm obviously not going to be looking down at comments. I'll do my best if I can, if I get in a little clearing, to maybe glance and say some good mornings, but just kind of filling y'all in with what I know right now. So please smash the like button if you would, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post, all that stuff. And I will give you an update on Harold Perkins, but remember, we are brought to you by Brock. If you need an orthopedist, the after hours clinic, nights and weekends, right there on Bluebonnet near Perkins. Parish Construction Roofing. Love to help you out with any roof issue you may have, repairs, replacements. Unique Physique was over shooting commercials yesterday for Unique Physique and for a new partner that we have coming up. Excited to tell you about that soon. An AFR partner. But yeah, here on Morning Scone as well. But Unique Physique, semaglutide, tirzepatide, you've heard about them all. The once-a-week injections for weight loss. Most affordable prices, no contracts. You do the whole thing over telemed, and they can ship your medicine to your door. So super convenient, affordable, and it works. So check them out, Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. And Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Somebody asked me on the text line, who's that, the person you always talk about that you swear by? Like Crystal Poche, Restored Motions. She's the best. Book a session. If you got pain, book a session. Trust me. Okay, so Harold Perkins is the other storyline. I think we're going to have a decision from Harold Perkins, and I think that decision is going to be that Perkins is returning, and you may hear something as early as today. my understanding is they were like just putting the release together. But I think Harold Perkins is returning to LSU for another season. And I think it's a great decision. We'll wait for the final announcement, but I think you should get that possibly today, Sunday. If not today, maybe Monday, but it's imminent. But the other thing that I think is very important to mention, because the last 2 off seasons, LSU's trying to turn Harold Perkins into an off-ball linebacker. He is, I was told, he will play the star position in Blake Baker's defense. So not the off-ball linebacker role that clearly did not fit him, but the star position, which is a much better fit for Harold Perkins. I look at Harold making the decision. If y'all remember about a month ago or so, I told you there were 3 players that LSU had a chance. They were in conversations with about returning, and it was Emory Jones, Mason Taylor, Harold Perkins. And my feeling at the time was, getting all 3 is probably a pipe dream. You'd love for that to happen, but it's not realistic. If you get 2 out of 3, that'd be a major win. But honestly, getting any of those players back makes you better. Well, Jones and Taylor, we know, are off to the NFL, but it looks like you are going to get Harold Perkins back. And I know that was a big point of contention early in the season about if the defense was better without Harold Perkins. And my point then will be my same point now. You're not better without Harold Perkins. You're not better without a player with an elite skill set. It is on the coaches to find a way to best utilize that skill set. And my point always was Harold Perkins is not an off-ball linebacker. So if you're playing him off the ball, that's an ineffective use of his talent. Like, he is an elite pass rusher. Let him rush the passer. Let him play in space, do the thing that he does very well. So, with Major Burns out of eligibility, they've moved Javen Toviano to safety. Brian Kelly announced that on Saturday. Harold Perkins returning and playing the star position is great because that allows you to be versatile. It allows you to run sideline to sideline and play in space. It allows him to blitz off the edge. It allows him to play near the line of scrimmage and help against the run, but out in space. It allows him to turn and cover. I mean, last year, 2023, LSU was playing against Missouri, and they couldn't get a stop. And what changed that game was Harold Perkins' interception. Super athletic play, turning in coverage, and getting a pick. He's athletic enough to do that. Let him do the thing he does really well. So check that out. Look at Mark Allen. Locked On was really good this morning. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. I always encourage you to go check out Locked On LSU. However you get your podcast or YouTube, please subscribe to Locked On LSU. I'll just try to I got my cruise set. I'm in the right lane. There's nobody in front of me. Very casual drive here. So I'll just try to say some good mornings here. Brennan, good morning. Yes, the auto buys are terrible in the playoff. Daniel Roof, good morning. Projection for LSU's 25 defensive front. You fully expect that, I would think your starters, Jacoby and Guillory, maybe Sadir Mitchell's a starter. Maybe he's just a first and second down player. But Don McKinley could very well be your other starter. Ahmad Bro. I mean, right there, the 4 names I mentioned, it's a really good interior rotation. And you've got more. You got Sean Washington back. That's 5. You got 4 freshmen coming in that any of them could win reps. So exciting. Brian Wynn, Thomas, good morning. Kelly, Thomas, sorry, man. Devin, good morning. Make defense great again. Morning, Matt. Will LSU make a push to bring Lance Hurd back? I doubt that very seriously. Now, I didn't see if Lance Hurd is in the portal. Tennessee lost last night. I didn't see if he's in the portal. or made an announcement or anything like that. But I would speculate, so let me be very clear, I'm speculating here. I would speculate no, because it didn't really end great here with Hurd last year. I think they would have certainly been fine with Lance Hurd coming back this season. But he had what was at the time, a high dollar amount demand that LSU is not willing to pay for a guy that was going to be a backup again. He was going to back up Will Campbell and Emory Jones. That number now would seem very small relative to what LSU is paying now. But one of the reasons LSU wasn't willing to pay it is because maybe Hurd didn't have the best work ethic, attitude, wasn't in great shape, and quite honestly didn't have a great year at Tennessee this year. So it's not to say there's no value with Lance Hurd. I think there is, but I don't think that feels to me like a non-starter. Like I know LSU has interest in the kid. I think his name's Josh Thompson from Northwestern. They did make, there's an offensive tackle I'll just tell y'all. I don't know if y'all saw, my little buddy Ryan Fowler had a tweet, which when you're a Giant fanboy disguised as media, you have a tweet like Ryan Fowler put out, which is what he is. I like Ryan a lot, but he's a fanboy disguised as media. Love my guy, but come on. It was all about how Bama beat Brian Kelly again, and LSU made a strong push for an Alabama offensive lineman, and the money was high, but it's going to take more than money to rip the Crimson A off. It was something ridiculous, just like that. How that situation works is, like I've told you before, a lot of times before guys go in the portal, they will have an agent, a third-party representative. It's no different than like a coach's agent trying to get their candidate's name in the mix for every job to drum up interest and money around the player. So there's an offensive lineman from Alabama whose agent, whose representative, was flat out pestering LSU about getting involved about this player. And so they did engage, and LSU was interested, and LSU had an NIL deal on the table. And it's not done yet. As of yesterday, my understanding, not done, but unlikely, which is so interesting. I don't know if maybe that agent was just playing both sides against the middle, trying to get better deal saw a program that was spending money and then trying to get more money for his player at either place, whatever. I mean, it's probably part of it, but I don't know. I know that question started with Lance Hurd, but suffice to say, with all that I just gave you, LSU's going to add a premier piece at tackle. They know it's a need. Losing both starting tackles, they're not going to go into next year with no experience at offensive tackle. They've got money to spend. They're going to go get an experienced offensive tackle. And that tackle might still be playing in the college football playoff. Rex, Bubba, good morning. Christian, what's good, man? Sorry, I can't read the long comments. Brian asking about changing the process. Yes, I think, remember, you're going to have the same format next year. So you're still going to have a 12-team format next year, but they could make changes like to the seeding or different things like that, but they can't change the format, the 12-team format, until 2026. So 2025, you'll have a 12-team format, but they could change the seeding, et cetera, which I think is likely to happen after what we just saw. Club, what's good, my man? Asking about the safety. Again, I don't know the name. To be very clear, one of the reasons why I don't know, and I don't know, some people may, But I think one of the reasons you're not going to hear names, and again, I don't know if it's Williams. Look, Williams is a kid from Westgate, who 5-star that LSU was in after and ended up signing with Texas. I don't know. I'm telling you flatly, I'm being very transparent. I don't know the name. Safety, offensive line, I don't know the names. But one of the reasons is because I think you're trying to avoid the tampering allegations. But first of all, I don't think anybody's getting in trouble for anything anymore because the NCAA has no teeth. Every time they try to enforce anything, they get sued or they lose. So, I mean, if there is tampering, who cares? But it's also like what I just said about how that process is going right now. It's more third party reaches out to school on players' behalf to gauge interest and see if they can do a deal. So a lot of times these deals are already done before the player even goes into the portal. Like, Jakeem Jackson's a good example of that. Jakeem Jackson went into the portal as soon as it opened. He was immediately connected to LSU and ultimately ended up at LSU. Like, everybody knew that was what it was going to be. So, anyway, so long way to answer your question. I don't know. Carl the Cat, what's going on? Doki Doki, good morning. OSU fans were insufferable. People love the SC, they don't. Mark, thanks, man. Cade. See, didn't watch much. Gilbert, Sam, Marshall. That's a lot. Sorry. I'm sorry. I think you're asking about Gilbert. I think Gilbert's back next year. I think he's going to have to fight for a starting job. Just didn't play great this year. Now, it is fair to mention also that he played injured. I mean, he dislocated his shoulder and played with a bum shoulder all year. And I think it's really hard to tackle when every time you tackle, there's a risk your shoulder is going to pop out. So I think that's part of what Gilbert was dealing with this year. I mean, you say we played with a harness on his shoulder the whole season. But I think Deshaun Spears is a real shot at winning a starting job. So we'll see. Tiger Poppy, good morning. Gunner, good morning. Listening to Lotto, thanks, man. Yep. I mean, go if you have the chance, go listen to or watch Locked On from today. And maybe y'all can give me some feedback, honestly. I'd appreciate it. Like, as I'm doing Locked On, I'm trying to decide if I should do things preemptively or wait for them to break. For example, like my Saturday episode was about Patrick Payton because we knew he was visiting. So he hasn't they haven't formally announced him yet, but it's done. Like, should I wait for the formal announcement to do it or do it preemptively? Same thing like with Harold Perkins. So today on Locked On, I talked a good bit about Harold Perkins. I believe we're going to get the announcement today, maybe tomorrow. It's imminent, whichever day they elect to do it. But I believe we're getting the announcement very soon that Harold Perkins is returning. So I talked about Harold Perkins on today's Locked On. Should I have waited till they do the announcement? I don't know. I guess y'all need to tell me, like, what's better for you all, because I don't do the show for me. I do the show for y'all. So when do y'all want to hear it? Sadir Mitchell. Like, I talked a lot about Sadir Mitchell when he was on his visit, not when he made when the formal announcement came out, right? Anyway, so y'all just have to. But yes, I've told y'all a lot about safety and offensive line with the two spots that they were going to add, and that's the two spots Brian Kelly said on the record that on Saturday that they're going to add. So now you know I'm not just making things up. Brett, Critter. I mean, I don't know if you're going to stock up offensive linemen, but you added Braylon Moore, and you're going to add a tackle. So I think, you could be looking at a situation. Braylon Moore's your starting center, no doubt. Chester, I think, moves to guard. Mabenga played guard for you this year for the final month. And look, he had his struggles, but like if you go look at the Pro Football Focus grades from, he started against Bama and then Florida and then Vandy and Oklahoma. He started 4 games. Every game, his grade got better and better and better and better. So like how much better can he get? But Chester and Mabenga could be your guards. And then you've got Tyree Adams, Weston Davis, who's a 5-star they like a lot. And then whatever tackle you bring in, competing for spots. So you've added veteran talent. You've recruited very well on the offensive line. You just don't have any experience. Chester will be your most experienced returning lineman. So adding more in whoever you add at tackle will make you much better in that respect. Good morning. Be careful. I'm being careful. I believe we're going to go undefeated and win that. I would just like to point out how hard it is to go undefeated. Especially in the SEC and with an SEC championship game and an expanded playoff. I just don't know that we're going to see much of that anymore. And the other part of it too is it's an era where because of the portal, your depth gets gutted every year. So, those Bama and Georgia teams that were so consistently good for so long, it's because you had 5-stars backing up 5-stars. Nobody ever left. That's just not the reality anymore. So I think, you keep recruiting out of the high school ranks and build your talent and develop your talent and depth. But in a year like this where, this feels for LSU this year similar to what Ole Miss did a year ago, where you've got Nussmeier coming back. You've got a good core of young players. But what you're lacking in certain spots is experience. So you realize, okay, you've got Nussmeier back and Caden Durham, young offensive linemen that played this year. Simply, you're getting Guillory back and young guys that played a ton like Whitweeks and Relaford, and Ashton Stamps is coming back. You're bringing in DJ Pickett. Harold Perkins, I'm assuming, is coming back. Like, you look and you go, man, there's a lot of pieces there, but there's a lot of holes as well. So go fill those holes with starting caliber players out of the portal, which is what they've done, right? You've added 3 defensive ends who are a 4th, a 5th, and a 6-year guy. You added Sadir Mitchell, who's a 3rd-year guy who's 350 pounds, can plug the holes in the middle. You added a versatile defensive back in Mansour Delane from Virginia Tech, who can play corner or safety. You added Jakeem Jackson, who could be a starting corner for you. You know what I mean? So you went and you filled those gaps with talented veteran players. Watch out for the Couillons on the interstate. Yeah, just joining. I'm going to New Orleans. Shout out Your View. Greg Bowser and I are hosting a show called Breaking Down the Bulls. 4 episodes on Your View. We did the first one last week, kind of previewing the first round of the playoff and the Bulls. So now that the first round is done, we're doing episode 2, which will air this week, kind of recapping these games, previewing the quarterfinals and some other bowl games, like some LSU stuff. So check your listings on Your View for Breaking Down the Bulls. Just passing the LaPlace exit right now. Watching the playoffs, we're close. Next year's the year. Yes. Here's the reality with LSU this year. And please smash the like button if you would subscribe to the channel. LSU this year was close, but you were also close to being 6-6. Like, just think of it this way. I keep going back to the opener against USC, where on the drive where you kicked the field goal late in the fourth quarter to tie it before they had the game-winning drive. Nuss had Aaron Anderson in the flat, which is probably a walk-in touchdown. Same player Anderson had scored on earlier in the game. If you hit him there and score and you beat USC, all right, that's 9-3. And then I look at Florida and I go, man, you controlled the ball for 42 minutes of that game. You completely controlled the pace and flow of that game. But your dumb mistakes and inability to, even just say the offensive pass interference on the C.J. Daniels touchdown. Forget about USC. Just look at Florida. The C.J. Daniels touchdown that got taken away because of the OPI. Everything else the same. You're in Atlanta playing in the SEC Championship game against Georgia. I mean against Texas. So, I mean, you're close. You know, just those two games that I just mentioned, SC and Florida. You're 10-2. You're a playoff team, maybe. Now, the flip side is also true. You were darn close. You went 8-4. You were darn close to losing to South Carolina. That's 7-5. You needed overtime against Ole Miss. If that doesn't go your way, you're 6-6. So you were close. You were close to 10-2. A&M, I mean, you got a double-digit lead midway through the third quarter, and then Garrett Nussmeier decided he wanted to just start heaving balls to the other team. I mean, look at how close you were, really. But also look at how close you were to being 6-6. So that margin is just thin, man. It's just becoming more and more like the NFL because you have more parity, because you don't have the stacking of recruiting classes anymore. The portal and NIL has leveled the playing field more so. Matt, any gamble by signing portal players? I mean, signing early portal players. I see what you're saying. So as to say, like, well, do you sign someone now when you could have a better player down the line enter? Yeah, I mean, I think by that first week, you pretty much know who's in the portal. And of the players that are still playing, it's what we alluded to. The players on teams that are still with. It's why the whole narrative about the this week from Brett Lashley and James Franklin about, you know, the portal window not being fair because guys have to make a choice. They stay with their team. It's not exactly true, because you're gonna see it happen. You're gonna see a player on a playoff team enter the portal when their team's playoff ends, and then they're gonna have a landing spot because a lot of that is already done in advance. Bubba Smith, good morning. Brennan Huff, good morning. Thank you, Brennan. Appreciate you, man. JTL, you think or you know? I think or I know what? You have to be more specific, because you probably put at 20 at him in time. Like if you're talking about Perkins, they are expecting Harold Perkins too. I am expecting Harold Perkins today or tomorrow to announce he's returning to LSU. I'm expecting today the announcement about Patrick Payton from Florida State joining LSU. Like, it's just like a commitment until their name is signed formally. It's not done until it's absolutely done. But it's as done as it can be. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about offensive line and safety, I would be, I know some of y'all love to clip Morning Scone and put it out there without context, but I would be fall over stunned if LSU didn't add an offensive tackle and a safety in the transfer portal. And I think there's a very, very strong possibility that one or both positions will be players that are still playing right now. Y'all gotta do me long comments. I can't read the really long comments. Wendell, good morning. Jeremy, good morning. Just going up and at it early. Yeah, man. Headed to New Orleans to film Breaking Down the Bulls. Y'all check it out on Your View. Maybe I'll post like a photo on Instagram or Twitter, something like that. A little BTS, a little behind the scenes. Rooney, good morning. Great day to be a Tiger. Cortland, see Moore become official. Yeah, I know that was odd. So Moore, of course, is Moore, the center from Virginia Tech. It's odd because he came to LSU. They reached their deal. He went back to his home in Virginia. Never took another visit, but they also never made it official until Saturday. So, but yes, good that that's done. Hey, Mike, with the money being spent, does this count as an all-in season? It kind of feels like it, Mike. What I will be really interested. So I would say there's a couple things at play. I think part of it is yes. With Nussmeier coming back, with some of the returning talent that you have, I think they looked at the opportunity and said, let's go. So it does feel like that. Because all the guys that we're mentioning, most of the guys that I mentioned are going to be impact players in 25 and won't be back in 26, right? Like Jamari Butler, 1 year of eligibility remaining. Patrick Payton, 1 year of eligibility remaining. Jack Pyburn, 1 year of eligibility remaining. Varian Brown, this is it for him. Nick Anderson still has eligibility. Sadir Mitchell still has eligibility. Jakeem Jackson still has eligibility. But Mansour Delane probably going to the NFL after this year. So, you know what I mean? So, Braylon Moore, this is probably it for him. So, yeah, I mean, in some respects, it feels like that. But I also think the reason you were able to do this is because you finally were able to engage and really go heavy financially. And, there's a few things that stimulated that. The fundraising started to get good whenever the TAF partnership with Bayou Traditions came into play. I've told y'all that. I've gone over this before. That decision was massive. Because when people donating to TAF for Bayou Traditions through TAF could get priority points, that was a massive moment. And as I was told, every month since that announcement, they've done $1 million in fundraising per month for the collective. The other thing that was massive for this portal class, I've told you, were the 3 players, Underwood, Stewart, Phillips, where the price kept going up and they walked away. And it freed up money to put toward this portal class. Like, if you had landed Underwood, Stewart, and Phillips, you would not be going this ham in the portal. You'd still be aggressive in the portal, but it wouldn't be like this. So that's another part of it, which is why I go back to signing day when I told y'all, okay, it stinks losing those guys, but talk to me in a month. Well, how do you feel now? Like, relative to how you felt on signing day, how do you feel now? A big part of that was they took the money from those players and moved it into the portal. And I said, no, look, you got to hit on these portal guys. Well, they're hitting on the portal guys. And then the other part of it is the 8-4 season and watching LSU not land those players really lit a fire under LSU's donors. And I'm not talking about the $1 million donors. I'm talking about the 50, 100,000, 50,000, 100,000, 250,000, like those level donors. Like, those are the ones that have really been engaged in the Kelly $1 million match and all of that. They had the $1 million to match Kelly's $1 million already. You know, they had that already in their back pocket whenever Kelly made his $1 million match announcement. So anyway, the point being, you've had, I know it's a long way of answering your question, but you know, is this all in? It kind of, but what I will be really interested to see is, does this momentum continue? So, like, let's say LSU puts together a playoff season next year in 25, but they don't win the Natty. Are all these same donors that have been giving so generously now, are they going to run it back again next year? Like, that's a question that, like, for Ole Miss too, you know? Ole Miss was all in, man. All in 2024, and they went 9-3 and missed the playoff. So do you still have as motivated a donor base to say, let's do it again? You know? Anyway. Perkins going Ole Miss. Okay. We'll see. Fat Boy Slim. We'll see. Golf heard Ohio State second quarterback in the portal. Yes, that's totally true. Like, so the transfer portal, the transfer portal doesn't, it doesn't mean you're leaving. All entering the transfer portal does is allows other schools to be able to contact you. That's all entering your name. So you can enter your name in the portal and stay at your school. It just allows other coaches and other schools to be able to contact you. So yes, you could absolutely stay with the team and play. But a coach could absolutely say, if you put your name in the portal, then you're not with us, you're not playing. Absolutely, a coach could do that. So, like, if you're Ryan Day, if you're any playoff team, then it absolutely makes sense, in my opinion, to say, even if a guy's putting his name in the portal, I want as many talented players and depth pieces as I can have for the playoff run and try to go win a championship. But the other side of that Gulf South is, if you're the player and you're entering the portal and you fully expect to leave, now you fully expect to be playing somewhere else the next year, then leaving now is more beneficial to you for next year, because you can go enroll at your new school and start acclimating and going through, I mean, you, in theory, could even go through bowl practices. So it helps you get a jump start for next season. So there's just a lot of things at play. But yes, that's absolutely right. There's nothing to prevent a player in the portal from playing for his team in the bowl game if the coach allows it. Tiger Diver, Portland, you're going to reward of winning a conference with a bye. Add teams, get rid of the bye. Cortland, I'm with you. But the question is, like, in the NFL, buys exist, and you reward teams for winning their conference by getting in. So, to counter your point, the reward for winning your league is getting an auto bid to the playoff. That is the reward. Boise's reward for winning their league is they're in. Arizona State's reward is they're in. Giving them a bye is stupid. Like, even in the NFL, the team that gets the bye is the team with the best. You don't get a bye just because you won your division. You get in because you won your division, and you get a home game because you won your division. And that's a great reward. But a bye for Boise and Arizona State is stupid. It's why you had blowout games over the last 2 days. Boise and Arizona State should have been playing this weekend. And I don't know who the next two who were ranked 5 and 6. What was it? Texas, Ohio State? Like, Texas and Ohio State should have had the byes. And you would have had, I don't know, maybe it's Tennessee hosting Arizona State or Boise playing SMU. I don't know how it would have. I haven't looked at it to know how that would have shaken out. But that was a giant problem. Was the seeding. Anyway, all right. I'm coming up to my exit here, so sorry for everybody whose comments I missed. Big shout out. Thank you all for watching. If you're just jumping aboard, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Headed to the YurView studios here to go record, go film Breaking Down the Bulls. So y'all check your listings. It'll air a bunch, I'm sure, but me and Greg Bowser will be doing the show. 4 shows here throughout the bowl season. The first one aired this week. We're going to record the second one this morning. So busy weekend, y'all. Anyway, thanks for being there. Much appreciated. As a reminder, please remember all of our great sponsors. If you need an orthopedist, go to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. They're the best. Locations all over Greater Baton Rouge. If you need a roof, Parish Construction, roofingparishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. A Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. That's semaglutide, tirzepatide, the once-a-week injections for weight loss. You want to lose weight? Look, we're getting toward the new year. Maybe your New Year's resolution is going to be drop some lbs after the holidays. Give yourself a jump start with a Unique Physique. Lowest prices. Remember, they just introduced 3-month pricing. So if you pay for 3 months at a time, you'll save $100 on the meds. And then Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. All right. Shout out, y'all. Oh, red light. Okay, good. Red light. I can say some good mornings to those who just came on, and then we'll wrap. Red light and stop. Okay. Trivia. Seth. Yeah, I what mentioned at the beginning. I believe you're going to get an announcement, possibly as early as today, that Harold Perkins is returning to LSU. And if he doesn't, then something dramatic has changed from yesterday when I was told they're basically just putting together the announcement to today. And if something changes and I find out about it, I'll let you know. But until something changes, I'm fully expecting we'll have an announcement from Harold Perkins that he's returning. And I think that's awesome. Put him at the star position. My goodness, can you imagine the havoc that defense will wreak? Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, Gabe Relaford, Harold Perkins. Oh my God. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch that team next year. Okay, y'all, let's wrap this thing up. Have an awesome, awesome Sunday. Beautiful day, man, as we get closer to Christmas. Be kind to one another, especially if you're doing last-minute shopping. Just be patient, be kind, be generous. this Christmas season, and have an awesome Sunday, and we'll look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Please go check out Locked on LSU if you haven't yet. One other thing I screwed up, I forgot on the YouTube video last night when I set it to premiere, I forgot to include the thumbnail, so I think that might have hurt the performance of the video at the onset. But anyway, podcast or YouTube, please go check out Locked on LSU. Appreciate y'all. Okay, have an awesome day.